Hello, everyone, and welcome to our today's episode. We will start in a few minutes. We will wait a couple more minutes for the rest to join. Yes, see more and more people coming in, but I think it's time for us to start. So, hello and welcome everyone to our today's episode of our virtual tour. Today we are stopping in North Carolina. My name is Jona Rowold, and I will be your host and moderator today. So if you have any questions throughout this webinar, please feel free to type it in the chat and we will address this as soon as possible. Before we will start, I would like to give you a brief overview about what you can expect today. So the goal is to explore the business landscape, the business environment in North Carolina. So therefore, we will receive a presentation from Gretchen. So thank you very much, Gretchen, for being here today and sponsoring this episode of the virtual tour. So thank you very much to you and also the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance for being here, share your knowledge and sponsoring this episode. Next to this, I would also like to thank our two German companies who are here today to share their experience about their market expansion to the US. So also again here from my side, Christian and Hank, a very warm welcome from my side. Before we start, I would like to give a brief overview about the chamber, about myself. So my name is Jona Rowold. I'm the Director of Consulting Service. I guess many of you know us already, but we are the official representation of German business in the southeast of the United States, and we support German companies with their market expansion to the United States. That's enough about us. Now I would like to hand over the floor to you, Gretchen.
Sounds good. Thank you, Jona. Good morning. It's a delight to be here. Thank you all for taking time out of your schedules to be here. My name is Gretchen Carson. I am Director of Business Recruitment for the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance. I do have a presentation I'm going to share screen with and give to you all, but before we do that, I have a video that we're going to play, assuming we can navigate, avoiding any technical difficulties. So let me go ahead and pop that up, and then we'll go through that and then go on to the presentation.
Thank you, Gretchen.
Yep. And just want to confirm that you can see that, Yona.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
I think we don't have any audio.
Yeah,
No
we
audio still? Okay.
Okay, Gretchen, then I would suggest let's start with your presentation, and we will share with the video. We will share the video later on with the audience and also include in the video.
Can you see that?
Yes, that works.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Well, we'll jump into this. We'll send a link to the video so you all can see it. And you'll also, all of you will have access to this webinar that I will be presenting off of this presentation deck. So as I mentioned, I'm with the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance. However, before we get into the meat of the content, I actually want to step back a little and talk about the state of North Carolina as a whole. Our organization is located in Charlotte, North Carolina. You will see from slides coming up that we actually serve 2 states, but for the purpose of this webinar, we'll focus a little more in the beginning on North Carolina. So a little bit about the state. It is the 9th largest state by population in the United States. So 10.9 million people reside in our state. It is a long state, east to west. It takes about 10 hours to drive across it. And just to give a little bit of comparison towards Germany, Germany is roughly 2.8 times the size of North Carolina. So a little geographic comparison there. You can see on the screen some key takeaways about the state that we wanted to highlight. Workforce, of course, is one of the pillars that we're proud of. We have a very large manufacturing workforce base here in the state that has been growing. That growth comes along with growth in the population of the state as a whole. In addition to that, cost of business, we'll get into that later, but we have a very, very favorable business climate in North Carolina, as well as our geographical location, which serves as a driver for supporting logistics and distribution in the state in proximity to the rest of the U.S. Moving from there, you can see this is actually in blue, the territory that my organization, the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance, covers. We are a public-private nonprofit, meaning that we derive revenue from public partners that are in our county governments, as well as private sector businesses that invest in our organization. For the purpose of business recruitment and attracting businesses to locate in our market, we serve the 14 counties you see highlighted in blue. 10 of those are in North Carolina. 4 of those are in South Carolina. You will see on the screen, it mentions Select CLT. That is the external marketing name for our business recruitment team. So our pillar of business recruitment as Select CLT sits as the Grow the Economy under the unique value proposition for the Alliance. Our organization also serves to advocate for business in the 2 states, and it also serves to convene diverse stakeholders. Taking real quick, these are some of the services that we provide as we help companies come into our market. So I won't walk you through all of these, but they're there for companies to utilize as they come into our market to help understand connecting to other businesses, understanding data and resources specific to labor, or identifying suppliers. If you have questions about any of these specific services, feel free to reach out, but I really want to get into the content of the presentation. So high level, when we look at the Charlotte region, these 14 counties I referenced, you can see here some buckets that we'll touch on and go more into detail as we go through the presentation. But key to point out that the population is growing. We sit at 2.9 million, headed to 4.3 million by 2050. That's great news for companies that are looking to ensure that there's adequate talent coming into the region to support their business operations. The airport, you'll see that called out as well. Charlotte Douglas International Airport is a major economic engine and provides global accessibility for our region. You'll also see business climate, low unionization rates, as well as low corporate tax rates provide a favorable environment for companies that locate here. And then education, of course, we have 13 top-tier research university partners that derive our talent pipeline. And we'll get into more of where those universities are located in proximity to our organization. When we talk about why the Charlotte region, we really put it into three large buckets: business environment, transportation infrastructure, and talent. So in these next slides, we will go through some of these in more detail and give you a better understanding of what all of this means and how it plays for companies that maybe want to consider our market. So first off, a number of companies that have chosen to make Charlotte their home: Fortune 500 and Fortune 1000 companies. There are 10 Fortune 500 companies, another 8 that are in the Fortune 1000. The takeaway from this is really diversity. It's not just one sector. So you have manufacturing in here, you have headquartered companies, you have energy, you have food and beverage. And that lends strength to the region, that there's stability here in case there's a downturn in one sector. There are other sectors that remain strong in our market. These companies chose to come to Charlotte for a region. One of the reasons is the growth that I referenced earlier. And this slide just gives you some insight as to where the people come from. You can see that we have 113 people a day moving into the Charlotte region. A bulk of that comes from the Northeast, from New York, Massachusetts, down through the Midwest, Ohio. So a lot of that is driven by favorable business climate, quality of life, accessibility for some of the companies. Just a bit of a graphical understanding of where we draw our population from. Another element to our business environment here is the diversity by companies and culture that we have in our market. So you can see we have over 800 international businesses located here. We are proud that Germany is our strongest foreign direct investment partner, with 180 companies located throughout the region. We have a very strong German community here. You can also see on this slide additional countries from which we draw international business: Canada, the UK, Japan, Italy. We monitor other countries. We've seen an uptick as well in companies coming in from Spain, from Finland, Netherlands. All of those are companies that we also put into the mix of those that we target and monitor to keep diversification strong. I will also note 274,000 internationally born residents. This plays out not just for business use, but also the community and the culture in which we thrive. There are numerous cultural events for different communities here in the region, and that's derived from the flavor of having so many different international residents here. Moving on to our second larger bucket, transportation infrastructure. So I mentioned the airport earlier. We'll dive into that in the next slide, but really we have robust infrastructure in the Charlotte region that allows us to move people and goods around easily and efficiently. 3 major interstates bisect the region, 2 Class 1 railways, CSX and Norfolk Southern, and then 3 deep sea ports that are within 3.5 hour drive of Charlotte. So moving north to south, you have Wilmington on the coast of North Carolina. Then you have Charleston in South Carolina and Savannah in Georgia. And all of those are easily accessible and leveraged by our industry. Talking about the airport, you can see here from this graphic the importance of it via the connectivity that it affords. So 8 direct flights from Europe. Specific to Germany, there are 2 direct flights flying into Munich and Frankfurt. So you have easy accessibility, not only to get into our market, but also to move from Charlotte directly across almost all points in the US. The airport is 6th busiest in the world by aircraft movement. So that's 1,400 takeoffs and departures daily. It is also the 2nd largest hub for American Airlines, which is why we have this connectivity. American Airlines has invested in our market and ensured that we are a strong hub that affords them the connectivity they need for their movements, but also we piggyback off by having the ability to access the entire US and Europe. I will also add that they understand at the airport the importance of their role in our market. They're in a $3.5 billion capital improvement program right now. They are adding a number of upgrades to their infrastructure. Most notable, I'll call out, is a fourth parallel runway, which will provide for more flights and ease of access into our market. Moving on to the third bucket, we talk about talent. So you can see here that there are 13 top-tier research universities surrounding our market. We're nestled right in the center there where you see the green C. That's for Charlotte, University of North Carolina, Charlotte. As I mentioned before, there are numerous students that graduate, young talent that graduate from these universities. They want a market to go to that's exciting, fun, a big city. And Charlotte actually fills a very nice niche because it's not as cost prohibitive as some of our larger metropolises in the US, like Atlanta or Washington, D.C. But they can come to Charlotte, have a more affordable quality of life, and yet still have all the amenities of a larger city. Specific to talent and workforce for companies, I want to call out the two bubbles you see at the bottom right for UNC Charlotte. University of North Carolina, Charlotte is a robust university. It's growing. It has approximately 30,000 students. And what's important to note here is that not only do 76% of those 30,000 stay in North Carolina, 60% stay right here in Charlotte and go into companies here in our market to work for our companies. So when you're thinking about how do I attract talent, that is a key partner to consider when you're looking at numerous different disciplines, whether it's engineering, accounting, finance. They have all of those in their wheelhouse. So just something to keep in mind as a strength of the region. Quality of life is also another reason we attract 113 people a day to our market. And so you can see here, we're 1.5 hours to the mountains in the west of North Carolina, and then 3 hours to the beaches to the east that span North and South Carolina. In addition to that, we have 3 lakes that are within a short drive from our city center. And the climate itself is very temperate. We do not get earthquakes. We do not get hurricanes as a rule. We haven't had snow in 2 years. So for business operations, there is a low risk for disruption. Moving on to some other pieces about living in our region, we have a number of professional sports and minor league sports teams. So you can see them listed here. Carolina Panthers will, of course, be in Munich November 10th. We're very excited about that. Our team will actually go in market to Munich. So any of you that are in that area, there's an opportunity to connect. So please feel welcome to reach out. The nice thing about our uptown is it's very concentrated. And so our professional sports arenas are actually within 8 blocks of one another. So you have the ability to walk to all of these venues. Mixed in with the sports, you have arts and entertainment, culture, theater, again, all in this concentrated downtown area. It spreads out across the region as well. So there are festivals in the fall and spring, all sorts of opportunities for folks to get out and enjoy themselves. I'll take a moment to just talk about our German community because it is so strong here. You can see some of the assets that we have specific to families living in Charlotte. There is a Deutsche Schule. We do have 2 of our local districted schools that have full immersion programs. There is a American Council in Germany for Business, of course, the German American Chamber of Commerce, which we're proud to have so active in our region. But I would just share that you have all of these resources to leverage here. In addition to that, the German community is very close-knit and comes together frequently. When we have German companies that come into the market, it is not uncommon to have a gathering at one of our local breweries that was actually founded by 2 gentlemen who went over to Germany to learn their craft. But we'll bring the companies into the brewery. A lot of our German partners and collaborators and other companies tend to come in and welcome them to the market. So it creates a sense of home as soon as you come into Charlotte. I'm going to pivot a little here and talk about the sectors that our organization focuses on when we look at companies that we would like to come into our market. You can see the 5 of them laid out here: advanced manufacturing, innovation economy, financial services, logistics and distribution, and life sciences. I'll make a few comments. I won't go through all of the names on there, but advanced manufacturing is really the bread and butter for the region. 10 of the 14 counties we support That is their number one sector that they rely on for capital investment and job creation in our market. Financial services, we are known as a financial center in the US. It's the second largest financial services center in concentration, driven by having headquarters like Bank of America and Truist, East Coast operations for Wells Fargo. All of that plays a part of that, and we continue to maintain that strength. That strength has also led to the spinoff of the innovation economy in InsurTech and FinTech for those that sit in a more entrepreneurial and software development tech environment. Some of these are homegrown companies, LendingTree and AvidXchange, born and raised right here in Charlotte. That is a growing space, so we hope that we will enlarge that in the coming years. Logistics and distribution, of course, goes back to our proximity on the eastern seaboard of the United States, halfway between New York and Miami, and as well as the robust infrastructure that we talked about before. All of that plays a part in enabling us to have a strong logistics and distribution sector. And then last is life sciences. That is an area that the Charlotte region is expanding and looking to grow in. North Carolina, particularly up in Raleigh, is actually known for life sciences, for pharmaceuticals. However, that is spreading southwest down to Charlotte. And so you're seeing this arc and this growth. It's an area where we think we have great opportunity. In 2022, Eli Lilly Pharmaceuticals came in with a $1 billion investment and 600 jobs that they created. And that is kind of a stake in the ground for our market to be more engaged in that space. So what does that translate to? Well, here you can see the talent pipeline, 1.5 million in employment here, but you can see how that breaks down and correlates to our sectors, the strength of advanced manufacturing, the strength of financial services. I will note that there is a caveat, the life sciences and health services, healthcare. That number that you see is predominantly associated to our healthcare systems. So our hospital systems, Atrium and Novant. Probably about 150,000 of that is attached to those. The life sciences, pure life sciences, talent pipeline is closer to 25 to 30,000 people that are in that space. So these next slides, I'm not going to walk you through all of them, but I am going to go through the first two because it will give you an understanding of the following sectors. So what we've done is we've taken those 5 sectors and broken them down for an in-depth look at some specific details or other points of interest to those. So here in advanced manufacturing, you can see the first where we note that there are 15 advanced manufacturing training programs in the region, accessibility to over 100 million people within 1 day of trucking, top 2 states for manufacturing competitiveness. If you need more information on these sorts of things, we can certainly provide it. From here, we can flip in to a more detailed, comprehensive look of what that means. So you'll see some of these workforce assets on here that support manufacturing in our region. You'll see some recent announcements, the type of jobs creation that came with it, the capital investment that came with it. And within, say, advanced manufacturing, you can see that we have top sectors in clean energy, industrial technology, and advanced materials, among others. So in the deck that you'll receive, you will have these templates of 2 slides for each of those 5 sectors to look through and review. And I'll advance through them, but I'm not going to spend a lengthy amount of time on them. One additional slide specific to manufacturing I want to share is a heat map. This is a really great visual to help companies understand where the manufacturers are located in our region. So you can see in red where the strong concentrations of companies are. When we work with companies that come into the market, we will help them identify what types of companies, the talent pools that are associated with those companies. But this gives you a more visual understanding of our manufacturing here in Charlotte. So going forward, you can see these slides here, innovation economy. You'll get a look at their sectors. Financial services. At the bottom, you have some industry support and our ecosystem that supports financial services. So close-knit community that comes together to provide resources. Again, top sectors within that, and then financials, services, logistics and distribution. There again, same sort of information. All of this will be captured for you to go through. And then the life sciences and health, which of course, again, I said is one of the newer sectors that we're looking at. And keep in mind, again, some of these companies are both North Carolina and South Carolina locations. Last, before we wrap up and have conversation, I really do want to touch on incentives. I know this is a critical factor for companies when they're looking to come into our market. And so you have very, very high level here, the names of some of the programs for incentives for North Carolina as well as South Carolina. What I will say that is probably most important to take away is when you're looking or considering incentives at the state level, the states typically look at income tax as the mechanism to move the incentive forward. At the local level, they're looking at property tax, so your capital investment. Regardless of whether it's state or local, they're going to look at the same qualifiers. And so when you think about, are you eligible for incentives, what you're really having to look at is the volume of capital investment you're bringing into the community, the number of jobs you're creating, the wages associated with those jobs, and then competitiveness with another state. But what I'll say specific to the jobs is most of the communities are looking to elevate the average wage, the ability for people to live in our market. And so there are typically thresholds that the companies are going to look at, the communities are going to look at. And that it's important to understand that these incentives are performance-based. They're not given upfront. They are typically on a 3 to 5 year window. And on an annual basis, the companies will be expected to provide documentation that they have created the capital investment they indicated, they paid the taxes on it, they've created the jobs that they said they would. So I'll leave it at that. I know that's a whole lot of information that I've shared. Again, this deck will be shared to you. You'll have my contact information. It's here on the very last page. Feel free to reach out at your convenience. And then Yona, I'll turn it back over to you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Christian. Thank you very much for all of the insight. I think very valuable information for everyone. And I also learned something new. So it's always great to see this information. But I think we will have more time later to talk about it when we start our discussion round.
Absolutely.
Our next steps, I would like to welcome again our companies today, our German companies in the Charlotte area, Dehn and Huber Technologies. Christian, maybe we start with you. Would you like to introduce yourself and Dehn quickly to the audience?
Sure, happy to do so. Thanks for the introduction, Yona. So Dehn is a family business, 114 years old or young, as we prefer to say. And we've just recently moved to Mooresville, north of Charlotte, so still in the Charlotte region that Gretchen talked about. We produce with 2,500 people worldwide. So typical mid-sized company, we produce components and solutions to protect against all kind of electrical issues. So in the end, we make electricity safe. That's it in a nutshell. And I hand over to Hank.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Christian. My name is Henk van Etterkoven, the president and CEO of Huber Technology, also a family-owned company. We celebrated 150 years in the Huber name, and just a little side note: we're I think about 15 minutes away from Dehn in Germany. So we're very, very close with each other. Yeah. But we've been active in the United States for several years. We are an expert in water, wastewater, sludge, and energy. And this is what we do. Like I say, we are 1,500 employees worldwide, about 900 in Germany, and in the United States, 150 people currently. Probably by the end of this year, about 200 people. So very excited to be here. And Gretchen, if I had to do it all over again, I would pick North Carolina after your presentation. Everything you said and stated is true, and yeah, sums it all up as why we chose North Carolina.
Oh, that's great to hear. We love it.
It's great to hear. Thank you very much, Hank, for the introduction. And we are very curious to hear more about your companies and also about your process. So I stop sharing for now that we can see our faces. I think it's a little more personal than just looking at the screen. So what we are doing now is I have some questions. We also have some questions from the audience I would like to ask you. Christian, maybe we can start with you. If we go a couple of years back, how can we imagine the decision-making process to expand to the United States, and how did you end up in the end in Charlotte?
Very good question. So as a matter of fact, we are in the US a business for 21 years. But all the recent years, we've basically exported from Germany, and we had a little sales office with a little warehouse down in Florida for a number of reasons. And pretty much 2 years ago, we've taken the decision to reevaluate the US market because we didn't participate in all that electricity boom to the extent we wanted to participate. There are a number of reasons behind: different standards, different ways of doing and dealing with electricity. And we just realized that we have to change our approach completely and also reconsider our location. So as fine as our current office location is, we said, well, in the end, we need to have a real headquarters, a US headquarters with inside sales, with R&D, with manufacturing. And therefore, we opened up the location search in a very thorough process that in the end led us to North Carolina.
Okay, thank you very much for the elaboration. Hank, if we are looking at you, how was the process for you? What steps did you take until you made the decision that you want to expand to North Carolina?
Yeah, it's just several factors. So we've been active. We celebrated 25 years in the US, but again, started as a small office, a typical sales office. You know, it's the typical story for many German companies. You open an office and a few people that work this, and then the majority, almost everything, comes from headquarters in Germany. So over the years, we've expanded, we grew. We are very heavy in the municipal market, so we deal a lot with government projects, and there is a lot of language in the documentation or the projects that we have that require made in America, built in America. So that was always on the top of on the back of our minds, and a key decision as well for the future. So when we needed to expand, we ran out of space. We started manufacturing small projects, and we ran out of space, and we made the decision to expand. And so there's two key factors. I mean, all the points that Gretchen stated, you know, about North Carolina, definitely played a major role, because it's very easy for a company, you know, that is looking and expanding. Any state will pick you up, but North Carolina is such a favorable state for us, and they're very supportive in anything that you need, whether you're a new business or an existing business. I mean, they're there with advice, and so we were looking for land, a building, and all that, and I've never done that, so they're very supportive in that. Plus, also the owners are very fond of that. Yeah, we could not move because we wanted to keep the majority of our employees instead of just moving to a different state. But it's really the business climate here in North Carolina really helped us, you know, to make this decision to stay here. And that was the biggest reason to do this. And fortunately, we made the right decisions, because after we moved and finished our first expansion, during COVID, we started the planning of the second expansion, and finished the expansion beginning of this year with 206,000 square foot under one roof, and did all that in 1 year. And that is the attractive business climate, the partners here in the Charlotte region where we're located, but also at the state level, and then with the support from the chamber. It's nice to have partners that become friends that really want you to be successful and make it pleasurable to really do business here and continue to do business here. Because like Gretchen stated, I mean, from the beach to the mountains, it's everything right there. The Panthers' home country is Germany, so it's a win-win for us. And very enjoyable.
Thank you very much, Hank, for the explanation and also for the compliments. I see you're a strong advocate for the region and also for the organizations. I'm glad to hear that you would do exactly the same again as you stated earlier. Gretchen, we had now a lot of positive facts about North Carolina. What, in your opinion, or can you add up on this, when German companies come to North Carolina, what are the main facts why they decide for North Carolina and the Charlotte region?
Sure. I think a number of those were illustrated in the deck, but accessibility is key, particularly with the ability to go directly back and forth between Frankfurt and Munich and access anywhere in Germany, come over to the US and access the entire US from Charlotte if you're based here. You are on the same business day, if you will. So Germany can catch the US at the beginning of our day, at the end of their day. So it's good for efficiencies of doing business, right? Mm-hmm. And then I think really a huge driver is the talent pipeline and the access to workforce. It's not just the number of people, but it's also the complexity behind the training partners that are here, the training programs. And that's not just university level, that's our community college systems that offer customized training. They'll go in and meet directly with companies. They'll do training on site at facilities if needed. They'll do training on the weekends, at night if needed. Mm-hmm. They really work to serve the needs of the company. So those are all drivers for why companies consider our market.
Thank you very much for the explanation, adding up all very, very valuable points, which also brings me to the next question to Christian. A market expansion is a very long process. I think we all know it. There's a certain uncertainty connected to it, which can be scary also from a business perspective. Christian, did you have any obstacles in the beginning of your expansion process? And if so, how did the partners support you in overcoming them?
Well, overall, I have to say we were highly welcomed. So there were no obvious obstacles in coming to NC. And as we knew the market already, the market side and the market expansion wasn't really what was worrying us that much. Any company that would take a first step to the US, I would definitely urge to work with like local people to understand the market and spend a significant amount of time and effort in really understanding the differences of the market, because the market and how sales is done is completely different. One of the obstacles though, Gretchen, I have to comment on all the advantages that you mentioned, especially in the Charlotte region, which is a thriving and booming metropolis. One of the obstacles for us really was finding the right location, the right greenfield, the right. So we wanted to have a county or a location where we can move quickly with renting an office and an office that suits us, and not all of the, I would say, standard US buildings fulfilled that. And then also have a green field where we can in the future build our own. And of course, in a pretty hot environment, those locations are quickly gone or difficult to find. So that definitely was an obstacle. We were lucky to take the time and find a good spot. to be also frank, we ended up getting a way larger field than we originally planned for. But again, coming to the US and understanding how buildings are built, we're pretty sure that we haven't bought too much. And in the end, it's an investment. So think big, also with regards to land and dimensions. It's just different.
Perfect. Thank you, Christian. And I think it's a good point. Finding the right location is always a challenge, but that's also why we are here. We are here to support. And I'm looking at Gretchen right now. Last week we just sat together to support a German company with this choice and this selection. Without stating any names, of course, Gretchen, would you like to give a brief overview, like what our support includes?
Absolutely. You know, for example, what we were talking about with this company, it involves not only being that front doorstep to the market to understand the talent, the labor, but to Christian's point, we collaborate with our local partners to help better understand cost of doing business here. So utility rates, labor rates, permitting, understanding what that looks like. We also work with our local communities to identify sites. So in the case of a company looking at the market, whether you want a greenfield or an existing building, you can lay out those parameters to us. Yes, we need 30 acres, or we need a 200,000 square foot building with 32-foot clear ceiling height that is within 60 minutes of the airport. We will reach out to our community partners to identify all of those properties, gather them, and then actually send them back to a company for them to look at. And the thing that I would emphasize the most is keep looking, because you might find something that's not exactly the right fit. It's a little like home buying. There are things that work and things that don't, but keep at it. The local partners, we will work with you to help find the best solution to make it a viable solution for you to come into the market using those resources.
And I can fully support that. So what Gretchen just is telling is absolutely true. So it was exactly how we observed it, and we have been looking at 15 different states, and I don't know how many different locations. And the difference, I mean, everyone is offering great support. Some are offering even larger financial incentives, to be honest. But in the end, the actual support, the networking that we were experiencing, especially in the Charlotte region, was one of the convincing and most important factors to us. Being sure that no matter what obstacle we would be coming across, we can solve it. And of course, talent is one of our biggest issues. And again, knowing that we're a mid-sized company, so it's difficult for us to compete with some of the very large companies with branding, with packages and stuff like that. But again, we don't want to go to an area where we are the by far biggest company, and there's almost no one else, and there's limited experience in dealing with advanced manufacturing. So I have actually to teach the college what advanced manufacturing is about, right? So then again, it's complicated, and we were sure that we would be getting that support and have the right environment for us. And also I have to say, when talking to these folks, I really got the feeling that they understand our business. Which is a very special business, but understanding really what are our needs and translate that into a solution was really fascinating.
I'll piggyback real quick on what you said, Christian, and Hank, you referenced it as well. But one of the things that we are proud of in our region is that each of our communities has what we call a staff or employees dedicated to aftercare, which is you've made your decision to come into the market. You'll be here long term. There are people that work solely to support our manufacturers here, to help connect them to resources, to help them understand where they can tap into opportunities. We're actually, Den has come in and you all are in our community now. We're still working with you, having conversations on how to get your local team, get their footing under them and get them connected to the right people. So it's an ongoing relationship. It doesn't just stop at we've come into the market. It continues on.
I agree, and I think this is very important, not to be alone, to have the feeling not to be alone, to know that you will be supported, no matter at what stage you are. If you're on the early stage, you have 12 potential states, as Christian has said, and you're looking at potential locations, or if you found your location and you are there, you build your green field and you start expanding. I think it's a very important point for every company to have in mind that the local support is here. Talking about these locations, and I look at you, Hank, right now, at your background, better to say, I see your beautiful new facility in the background. What was your experience here? So what steps did you have to take to arrive here, and were there maybe any challenges you faced in the process of building the new facility?
So so with us, I mean, we were in the region, and we liked it so much, and so we were looking. So got a lot of support, and also directions from the owners that what they'd like, and reference back to the factory in Germany and the area. So we ended up in Lincoln County, which is 20 minutes from the airport in Charlotte, North Carolina. And the minute that the county got a hold of us, they didn't let us go. And they supported and guided us throughout the whole process. And so we built initially 70,000 square foot, moved in, and within a year, 2 years, we planned and then built and opened up an expansion of another 125,000 square foot. And so we did it all in 1 year, and we could not have done that without the support of the local partners. That is the county itself. I mean, when it comes to regulation, when it comes to permits, when it comes to delivery of equipment, I mean, we are the first full-size manufacturing facility for the parent company. So besides Germany, we are the first in the world that have the same process as in Germany. So everything was new for us. So the support really made a difference. When there was a delay, on a transformer, because I mean, we just came out of the pandemic, supply chain issues, and so things were delayed. And it's a quick phone call to the right people, that kept our project on track. And you can only do it with the right partners, and North Carolina with Lincoln County in our case, we're really those partners where I could make that phone call. And if I made that phone call, they knew it was serious and make sure that we want to keep this project on track. So so that was really a pleasant experience. And also the other fact, I mean, we talk always briefly about airports and how great it is and all that, but it's a direct flight, from whether it's Frankfurt or in our case Munich, with 45 minutes of an hour plus some, depends how quick you go, of course, to the airport. And you can get so much done within a week. You fly on Monday from Munich, 3-4 solid days of work. So that exchange with our partners, special in transferring the manufacturing knowledge, where we could have people from the manufacturing floor that have never traveled, that they can come here, and really share their experience with us, was really good. So that airport, although you say it really quickly, but you don't really think about it until, in our case, you really do that, and you have people that with deep knowledge that normally don't travel a lot. It's a pleasant experience for the people traveling, and it really helped us staying on track and really building and going live in a year, from to full manufacturing, which we are in the process right now. Christian said about personnel, craftsmen and all that, and we always talk about it, though we can't find enough people. And but in the last year, we said the same thing. I said the same thing, but then I look at the beginning of the year and the end of the year. We still expanded and hired about 70 people in 1 year. So I think it's just, for us in this case, it was the volume. And but the partners are really there when it comes to incentives. workspace of work support, on incentives to training, whether it is for your your engineers, for your manufacturing personnel or support personnel. It's the local school system is really engaged, and with these incentives makes it easier for a company like us to continue that and also provide back to our employees. So they stay engaged. They stay engaged with the community, with the local school system, and it's been a win-win for us, and something that you can only build a facility in a year of the expansion. In a year you can only do that with the local partners, and because government regulations can really derail you, and in our case they really helped us stay on track and doing what we set out. We said January 6th is going to go live, and we're able to do that. And afterwards, we celebrated with a big party because it was a big accomplishment, but only with the local team.
I definitely agree, and I would say the party is more than deserved. It sounds like a stretch doing all of this, accomplishing all of this within a year. So, my respect. But I'm glad that everything worked out for you. We have the beautiful facility, and you found the staff or the talent you actually need for your operation, which is, I think, a very, very important point. We also support with finding staff and also with our German apprenticeship system. But Gretchen, I saw you also mentioned some points in your slides. Maybe to summarize it as a final statement before we have to move on. How could you support German companies that plan to establish a new facility in Charlotte with finding talent or with training the talent?
Yeah, so we work with a number of partners. Those are our private investors. We even have one on the phone today, or on the Zoom. Bank of America has joined us. But specific to talent, we work with our universities. We have direct relationships with them. We work with the community colleges. We also work with the Workforce Development Board. So where you can find the talent, we help with that. We help with the programming and the training. All of that comes together. So think of us as your first stop, your front doorstep, and it's much broader than talent, right? It's connectivity to legal services, to accounting, to human resources, because all of those policies are different in the U.S. And having a very, very thorough foundation and understanding of the differences and experts to rely on is critical to being successful to coming into the market.
That is very well summarized and a very good explanation. Thank you, Gretchen. I think it's very important also for the companies to address these topics. I think, or thinking about workforce topics, you cannot start thinking about it early enough. But just know there are local partners we're here to support in this matter. So you're not totally on your own. Gretchen just stated the laws are also slightly different from state to state, and I think also from county to county sometimes. But do not hesitate to ask any questions. Doesn't matter at what stage of your expansion plan you are right now. Looking at the time, unfortunately, it's already the time to come back to an end. Hank, Christian, and Gretchen, do you have any final remarks you would like to share before we move on?
The only other comment that I would do, I think it's when you decide for North Carolina, it's very important that you engage with the local community, that you engage with the German community, that you accept the way business is done here. In Germany, when you say legal, it's scary. Over here it's a way of doing business. That the legal is your business partner. It's your way in to find resources. It's your way in to set a direction. So it's like a partner, and that's just a different way of doing business. Like I said earlier, if I had to do it all over again, I still pick North Carolina for all the reasons that we've discussed, and it's a pleasant state to really do business in, and enjoy coming to work still here, and also the owners and many of our employees from our parent company, they always love coming to North Carolina. So, but it's whatever you make of it. It's if you're very engaged in all of this, then you can be very successful in the state of North Carolina, and in this case, in the Mecklenburg County region, with the Charlotte region. So yeah, very fortunate we made the right decisions, and we finished building hopefully for a while and continue and expand our business.
Yeah, I would double on that right away to strongly advocate. Use the networking, really talk to people, use the organizations like GACC, the Charlotte Regional Alliance, and others to make the connections, to talk to other companies who have located there about their experiences. Typically, those conversations in the US are way more open than we are used to in Germany. And that can give you the right answers and questions to make up the decision where to go. And just as Huber, we feel very, very positive about our decision. We will stay there. It took us a long time to take the decision where to go because we want to stay there for a long time. It's pretty solid, and we're looking forward investing and building something nice, maybe similar to what's behind Hank.
I'll just jump in real quick and add that if you're looking at the market, you see something that's of interest, please feel welcome to reach out. The services that we offer are at no cost, and that's the same with our local partners and our state partners. We're here to help companies understand our market. And I would just say that if you're serious about expansion to the US and our market looks attractive, please make the consideration to actually come visit. We're happy to help build an itinerary, take you around, but the experience is so much different when you come in person and see everything firsthand.
Hey, thank you very much, Gretchen. Thank you very much, Christian. And also thank you very much, Hank, for all the very good insights. I am convinced it's very insightful for all our participants, and I hope we could support with the initial market expansion support. Before we wrap it up, we also have one special guest here. It's our colleague from Germany, our German office from the AHKs or GACCs, Sarah. Sarah, I would like to give the word quickly to you also to introduce yourself to the audience and our perfect speakers here today.
Sure, yeah. Thank you so much for the opportunity to introduce myself. My name is Sarah, and I'm, so to speak, one of the newest acquisitions of GACC. And since April 1st, I've been the lucky incumbent of a brand new position as a GACC representative in Germany, representing all 5 offices. And a very big chunk of my time will be organizing our signature event in Germany, the German-American Business Forum, and the 9th edition is coming up next week, already on June 6th. And mark your calendar for 2025. It's going to be June 4th in Munich. And if you have any questions and if I can be of any assistance, give me a call or drop me a line. Always happy to help. And feel free to add me on LinkedIn. And Dankeschön.
Jona, you're muted.
Oh, sorry, thank you for jumping in, Gretchen. Thank you, Sarah, for sharing and also teasing the event. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Sarah is in Germany, so if you are in Germany, have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Sarah. We work very closely with Gretchen together. As just said, already last week we were talking, and we support you from scratch with the expansion to the United States. Is it with the initial stage with market research, the general market entry, law topics, immigration topics, the site selection, bookkeeping and payroll, or whatever you have, whatever questions you have, please do not hesitate contacting us. We are there. That doesn't matter what stage. Just feel free to contact us whenever you have any questions. Having this said, thank you very much, everyone, for joining today. If you have any questions, please feel free to write them in the chat. You will receive all contact information, also the presentations at the end, or we'll send it via mail. If you don't have any questions, thank you for participating and hope to see you all next time.